Education Underground, a podcast that explores all things education, some things underground. I am Dr. J. I'm a deeper guide for local schools because I believe in supporting your local neighborhoods. Exploring topics around education. Is that okay to say, man? Yeah? Okay, brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 1 of Education Underground, a podcast that explores all things education, some things underground. As I mentioned, this is episode 1, and I am Dr. J, not the guy with the headband who played with the 76ers. The Dr. J here in Phoenix, Arizona. Shades of Green Multimedia in the studio. It's my good friend Matt Rogerson and Dondre Campbell. We're super excited about this first episode. I can't tell you how long this has been in the making, just in terms of up here in this giant 5-head, rattling around and deciding which topics to talk about, but also doing a ton of research around, is there anything like this out there? Is anybody exploring topics around education that can both serve the public and inform the public? And truth of the matter is, there's not. And the more we dialogued about the opportunities that were presented here with Shades of Green Multimedia, the more it was like, we just need to pull the trigger and make this happen. So here we are. And as you all know, if you're into any kind of podcasts, episode 1 and episode 100 are night and day. So bear with us as we go through some of the finding our sea legs, finding our stride, lengthening our stride, and figure out how we can make this better for you, the people. Again, Education Underground, hashtag Education Underground. If you're on Facebook Live, like and share, subscribe, share the live feed. If you're on Twitter, look us up at Ed Undergrounded, ED Underground, ED. Also on Instagram, that username is the same, ED Underground, ED Ed Undergrounded, hashtag Ed Underground. Great to have you all with us. And as I mentioned, like and share. The more we spread the word, the more people get informed. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, is specifically centered on school choice. It's one of those things that just kind of gets lobbed around in the news media. And no offense to them, it's what they're fed from their producers. It's also something that gets talked about at dinner parties. And it takes on a different mindset, a different life of its own, depending on which state you're from. So in the context of out here in the Wild West, Phoenix, Arizona, we'll be talking about school choice and vouchers and what that actually means for us. Now, it's been a topic of discussion most recently brought to bear because of the new Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos, who joined the Trump administration back in March, April. And she sort of promoted this ticket of, hey, education vouchers, it's the way to go. Well, what does that mean for you and I as a consumer of public education? When I say public, I mean your local district school. I also mean your local charter school. And also in the case of a voucher, you might include and sweep into that group of people a private institution, religious or otherwise. So think about that as we move forward throughout this topic. Now, a voucher means that I, as a consumer of public education, can take a virtual credit from the government and buy my student, my scholar, my son or daughter, an opportunity for tuition to be paid at a private institution or institution of my choosing. That would mean that I might be disappointed in my local school district, my local area. I might have tried out the charter education component and I might be just not pleased with what's going on. So I take this voucher that's provided for me through state tax dollars and I walk down to the private institution and I enroll my son or daughter in a private school using this voucher to offset the tuition costs. Now, the neat thing about that is it gives me access through the voucher to all the things that a private institution has to bear. They bring to the table curriculum, teachers, all the things that you would see at a district school, But embedded in that voucher is an assumption that a private school is somehow better. Now, we haven't talked about the criteria for what makes a private school better. But what Betsy DeVos, Secretary of Education, and what President Trump are telling us is that, well, this voucher program is going to solve all of our problems because private schools by their nature are better. They don't tell us how. They're not telling us why. They're just saying, yeah, this voucher is the magic ticket. You are Charlie, and you're headed to Willy Wonka private school. And I don't mean to disparage any private institutions because they do hard work. They do great work. But you take that voucher down there, and it's going to solve all of your problems. And I would just like to put some things up there for you to think about when considering what a voucher has to offer. Now, in terms of just thinking a little bit more critically about a voucher program, I'm going to use a jewelry store analogy, if you will. Now, I don't know about the rest of you out there, but I shop at a jewelry store next to never. But when I do, I shop at the jewelry stores that are in my local neighborhood, my sort of area of operations, if you will. So I'm not driving too far out of my comfort zone to get to a jewelry store. And y'all can think of the names of jewelry stores that come up. I'm not going to name them here because I don't have sponsorship rights or whatever, but you could get the idea. A guy like me is not driving to Aspen, Colorado, where I grew up, or to North Scottsdale, or to any of those other neighborhoods to purchase jewelry. I'm shopping in West Peoria, West Glendale, Northwest Phoenix. That's kind of where I'm going to be shopping for jewelry. And it turns out that the people who cater to my needs for jewelry are building my kind of jewelry store in my neighborhood. It meets my needs, which is nice. It's a good exchange. There's sort of an implied understanding. Now, if I were to walk into one of those highfalutin, to use a word that my grandpa used to use, jewelry stores, I might feel uncomfortable. I'm not really sure about how to shop in a jewelry store in North Scottsdale. I certainly know that those prices are well beyond my means. I might feel intimidated by the people behind the counter, as well-meaning as they are. They can read me like a book. They know that I'm not from around here, and I don't shop in those places. And I can hear Miss DeVos whispering in my ear, well, that's precisely why you need that jewelry store voucher, Dr. J, so that you can go in there and get credit towards buying yourself something that will really make your hand or the neck of your significant other sparkle like it should. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but that's not really my thing. I'm not going to come, I don't hang out with these people. My folks don't wear that kind of jewelry. My folks don't sport that kind of bling, to use the vernacular. Is that okay to say, Matt? Yeah? Okay, bling. Maybe we'll squeeze that in from time to time. So the whole idea is get your voucher, go shop at the jewelry store, get the very nicest piece of jewelry that you can get, subsidized by the taxpayer dollars, and go on your way. Well, there's some inherent problems with that. If I were to sport that jewelry around town, or if my significant other would, where I'm from, which is where I want to be from, where I am comfortable, and where I love to associate with people, it might look odd. It's going to look gaudy or awkward or give a false impression, if you will. Well, so it goes with schools, ladies and gentlemen. The bottom line is a voucher is not going to solve the problem. Let me better define this analogy and add some punctuation to the dialogue if I can. The very best private schools are not building private schools in the neighborhoods of those children and students who may benefit from them the most. Just like a jewelry store owner, proprietor, they're going to build the very best jewelry store they can in an area where they can feed that clientele and give that clientele what they need. So, Ms. DeVos, with all due respect, private institutions are not building private schools in Maryville or in South Glendale or in inner city Phoenix. They're just not. So if I'm going to hand a voucher to a single mom and say, it would be really great if you would, give your student that option to attend that private school, we might be looking at a 1.5 hour bus ride just to get to that school on public transportation and a 1.5 hour bus ride back. Now, that voucher doesn't pay for private school uniforms. The voucher doesn't also pay for summer experiences that many of the private school students are able to engage in because of their means. The voucher does not cover the social skills education that's necessary for people of diverse backgrounds and underserved populations to be able to integrate into the private school environment. It's a different world entirely. And I can hear maybe some of you bubbling up with words like, that sounds a little racist. No, it sounds very much not racist. If you dig a little deeper, there's a deep regard for the individual in what I'm saying, a deep amount of love and compassion around not only the taxpayer who's propping up these funds for vouchers to be given out, but also for the individual family's needs. And a great deal of compassion and love and respect for district schools where my own children attended. I have older children who matriculated through the district school, public school program in Nashville, Tennessee, and here in Phoenix, Arizona. I have a deep regard for local schools, a deep and abiding regard. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. I'll be the first to admit. I am a long-term consumer of education, having gone through district schools, public schools myself. I attended and earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from the largest religious private institution in the United States, Brigham Young University, Provo. I have 2 master's degrees from a Jesuit school at Chapman University in Orange, California. And I have a doctoral degree from a for-profit university here in Phoenix, Arizona, Argosy University. I currently am a professor of education leadership in the College of Education at Grand Canyon University, also a religious institution, also a private institution that does not take government dollars, but owns all of its buildings, owns all of its land, and has not issued tuition increase to its students in the past 4 years. And the same cannot be said for the public institutions here in our fine state, of whom I am very proud and to whom I promote many of my students at my current school and hope that my own children attend those in-state universities because I believe in supporting your local neighborhoods. But back to my voucher comparison and back to the analogy with the jewelry store. Is it the best for the individual? Let's extrapolate out that jewelry store comparison just a little bit more. Mom, I really don't want to go to this private institution. I don't really fit in. These folks are taking vacation in places that I read about on the internet that I've done projects on. Their families are very different from ours. As good as my friends are at this private institution, they really can't relate to a single parent family. And when they want to invite me to after-school events and activities, and I've got to get back on public transportation because I've got an 1.5 hour ride on the bus, and I got to get home so that you can take on your responsibilities as a working parent and I can watch my brothers and sisters, my private school friends don't really relate to that. There aren't enough vouchers in the public school system, in the private school network, and in the foundation of the taxpayer base here in Arizona to be able to support the success of a student in the private institutions. Well, what's the answer to that? You're saying no vouchers, Dr. J. You're saying that's not worth it. What's the solution? Well, support your local school. Well, it's not that simple. Yeah, it is. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. I cut my teeth when I moved here from Colorado to teach in a school district on 35th Avenue in McDowell that's still viable, still thriving. In fact, one of their middle schools has a very successful partnership, highly successful partnership with Teach for America, so much so that they've been highlighted in their fundraising videos. And the school leader is a gentleman that I taught across the hallway from. He taught me everything I know. Mr. Chavez is a wonderful individual who would love to sit down with a parent who's talking about taking a voucher and their children to a private institution and talk about solutions to be able to keep them in their neighborhood so that they can be educated in their neighborhood, so that they can go to an in-state university, an in-state trade school, join the military, pick up a trade or an apprenticeship, become an entrepreneur, and feel comfortable sustaining and building their own relationships in their own home neighborhoods. That's how we support growing the infrastructure socially and economically here in the state of Arizona, is by promoting the local fare. Now, some of you out there might be homeschoolers. That's as local as it gets. That's as local as it gets. You're field tripping, field working, partnering, networking with everybody who's local. And you're doing it on your dime. And you're supporting public education at the same time. I don't think there's anything more noble than doing a homeschool endeavor. My sister homeschools her 12 adopted children, which is a remarkable thing. That's true. True story. It's not even a story. It's just the truth. A remarkable thing about what options we have in place right now is that with a few tweaks, the success that we can realize is exponential. And the proof is in the pudding. And the pudding happens to be a compendium of research in a book called In Praise of American Educators by Dr. Rick Dufour, one of my heroes in education, if I can put it that way. And in Dr. Dufour's book, he profiles with specific peer-reviewed statistical research a raft of data that says we're doing way better than what's being promoted out there in the media. It's here. The statistics say that Finland is shining in early childhood education, and Hong Kong is thriving in STEM education, and Australia is foundationally establishing literacy rates that have been unheard of. They're still second and third to what we're doing here in America. But let me just paint the picture for you. We're educating more children here in the United States of America than we ever have in the history of this country. We are educating more challenging populations of children with more unique and diverse needs than we ever have in the history of this great nation. And we're doing it well. Our literacy rates haven't dipped. Our math literacy rates haven't dipped. When compared internationally, we're on par, if not better, in many categories. What we do face are the challenges in this country. We do face many challenges that deal with the social infrastructure and the family infrastructure within our local neighborhoods. And those are things that we can and effectively do address all across the United States. There are models for comprehensive care for children and families that are successful all across the United States. There are models for drug intervention. There are models for mitigating teen pregnancy rates. There are models for mitigating suicide rates, and all of those are high-risk indicators for children for dropping out of high school here in Arizona. But we can replicate that success, and we don't need to give someone a voucher to go shop at a jewelry store that's not in their neighborhood. We don't need to give a mother or a father or a struggling grandparent who's raising children a voucher that will only complicate the issue and add more layers of social challenges on top of the academic challenges. What we need to do is support our local fair. We need to go into our district offices. We need to attend our board meetings. We need to, when appropriate, where appropriate, run for office. If you're even thinking about running for political office, the most powerfully elected body in the United States is a school board, ladies and gentlemen. A school board. Run for office. Get in there. Throw your hat in the ring. Show people your level of concern. Serve 2 years. See what can happen. We have an individual in the state of Arizona who started off as a parent in the district where I was serving as assistant principal and went from frustrated parent to board member to board president to state school superintendent. Agree or disagree with her politics? Ladies and gentlemen, that's possible. That a woman can go from frustrated parent to state superintendent in less than a decade. I think that it bears consideration that instead of throwing good money after bad in a federal education system that frankly isn't really being honest with themselves about what's working and calling it a voucher system and saying that that's going to be the answer to our issues or our challenges here in public education is disingenuous. It's disrespectful to a highly educated population. And I'm not sure that private schools are that much better than a district or a charter or homeschooling network at doing what is necessary to prepare our children to accept responsibilities in the upcoming decades to lead this nation and other nations forward. Where's the data on that? It doesn't exist. If you doubt me, which I hope you do, I'm telling you I'm biased. I'm a dad. I'm a grandpa. I'm an educator. I believe strongly in school choice. I currently lead at a charter program now, and I've led at district programs. So I've had my feet in both camps, and I see the benefits of both. It's why they still thrive. I don't see the benefit of vouchers. I don't see how that's going to serve our nation and the needs of families who are struggling in public education right now. So I would invite you to like and share this episode. I would invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Education Underground. I would invite you to share it, to like it, subscribe it, put out all the information that you can about what we're doing, and to dig into some of the research in Dr. DeFore's book, In Praise of American Educators, and how they can become even better. There's more than you'll ever need in terms of carrying on a wonderful conversation at a dinner party. Whether you're an educator or not, being educated about education is much better than not. Upcoming topics, and we'd love to hear from you about what you think would be a great topic to talk about. So funding, policy, staffing, ethics, homeschooling, micro-schooling. It's a new one to me. MOOCs, or online courses that are being offered by institutions like MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Yale. Blended learning. How about parent rights? School safety. How do you pick a school? We know how to pick a restaurant, right? School boards, bond overrides, or mortgaging our future. Student rights. If you have a parent who is a who has children with special needs, what are their rights? What about athletics and extracurricular activities? What about alternative settings? Problem solving in schools, dealing with anxiety, bullying, cyberbullying, internet safety. How do you choose a school? How do you choose a teacher? How do you choose a principal? These are all important topics. Charter versus district, misconduct, professional misconduct, filing complaints. What about the hot topic of homework and what role it plays? How about project-based learning, problem-based learning, inquiry-based learning, and enrichment strategies for the home, for the office, partnering in education? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a joy having you on today. I hope that you like, share, and subscribe, that you share this live feed with as many people as possible, getting the information out. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can email us at edunderground@gmail.com. Once again, edundergrounded@gmail.com, edundergrounded@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Let us know how we're doing, how we can improve. Be nice. Okay? Or you're going to go to the principal's office, and we'll talk about you if you get sent to the principal's office in upcoming episodes. We're going to have guests on, people in the mental health field, students who have started their own nonprofits, individuals who work for large education publishers, edupreneurs, people who are out there hitting the streets with great ideas and helping teachers. We'll have teachers. We'll have other school leaders on. And just as a disclaimer, of all those institutions that I work for, ladies and gentlemen, just know my thoughts and opinions are my own. I think for myself. And I appreciate you being here today. We're very grateful for this opportunity. Big shout out to Shades of Green Multimedia here in the Whisper Room for allowing us to take up their time. Shout out to Mind for the Making. Kara, we appreciate all your support. Matt, you're a wonderful individual and lovely human being. And for all of you who listen and support us through our comments on Facebook, thank you for being here today. We look forward to seeing and hearing from you in the future. And episode 1 is in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Cut me some slack, man. It's my first time.